I saw the presentation, thing I haven't really went through.
Okay, that's fine. I just, I wanted to give you guys all this. I am so down there. Go, go.
No.
There's a 1 year and they're gonna be sitting later. City Hall. 90 days. Very back. So it looked like.
How's the search going?
Since most of the time. That Jim.
Okay. So,
Steve wanted me
Anybody
involved.
afterwards, thank
Brian wanted me involved. Largely done. Since he'd been there. And employed, obviously.
We got money, so that's. But that was part of the discussion and Mark was there.
Take a close look at it.
Yeah, Mark.
Get him in.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Hybrid position. Whoever we hire. And that's what the financial accounting side. She didn't know. She knows how to do it. She can't. She just doesn't know everything.
okay.
You guys. So.
Hire somebody that.
So. Yeah, I was still.
He would have full cross training. Cross training, all that railroad. And then she had and then once we get this kind of start, we can decide if we want a third person to come in and hold some of the weight that it needs to. Do some of the other parts stuff.
He's trying to.
I got two people every other month. One of them is and it will do us. Yeah.
So.
Just you know, I'm more of just a impression of him on that. He just everybody cross trained.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Person. Closer. That's what's next.
Yep, makes sense.
Possibly, where she's at, I'd have to wait to see where she's at. Communication, why I can't be there.
It was really good.
Yeah.
That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. We already got back.
You're back and that's all right.
Yeah.
All right, I think we got a little bit after 2 here, so we can go ahead and get started. Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Start with some introductions. I'm Jeremy Tans with Southwest Missouri Regional Planning Commission and current chair.
Alan McElroy, SEMPO staff.
Jim Roach, City of Jackson.
Kerry Harbison, Seymour Board.
Mark Phillips, Cape Special.
Robert Earlbacher, Cape Special.
Chris Rocker about that. Joe Kelly didn't know that.
Marla Mills, KLG Engineering, SEMPO staff. Jenny Smith, Cape Transit Authority.
The visitors introduce themselves.
Yes.
I'm Doug Gannon, City of Gilbert.
Stacy Kinder, Mayor of Cape.
Trevor Foley, Deputy City Manager.
Kate Horrell, Parks Division Manager for City of Cape.
Penny Williams, Recreation Division Manager, City of Cape.
Drew Christian, CMO RPC.
And online, we have Tom Caldwell with IDOT.
Introduction done, we'll take a motion to adopt it.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the minutes, copy of the minutes is in the packet there, or when came in. Had a chance to review those, we take a motion to approve this minutes.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I have no communications to share at this time, so we'll open it up for any public comments if there's any. No public comments, we'll go on to new and unfinished business, starting with resolution number 2024-03.
Okay, so this is a somewhat lofty amendment that we're putting for you today. There are 32 total projects. 2 of the projects are TAP projects for the city of Jackson and the city of Cape Girardeau. 5 are new projects for MoDOT, and 25 projects require fiscal adjustments. So that is this table of regular projects you see listed here. It's a 3-pager. And this was our first time with our new software, and we're not quite fully integrated with the new software, so this was a bit of a lift for us. This won't necessarily be the format you'll see them going forward once we've got all of our data arranged correctly and all of our files imported as we want them. But this was time sensitive, so we had to put it together as is now.
So anyone have any questions for Alex on the TIP amendments? Now we're taking a motion to adopt that resolution.
Move to adopt resolution 2024-03.
Motion, we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution passes. All right, up next is our presentation on the 621 and Perryville Road intersection study.
Okay, well, at our July planning committee meeting, where we asked our stakeholders to accept the final report, they had indicated a desire for us to be able to share the findings with a larger group, being the board, and any stakeholders be invited as well. So we've invited folks to attend today. And I threw together a presentation based on the findings of our study. Be kind, because our consultants didn't put this presentation together, I did. Okay, so here's our intersection. The first slide here is just for folks to get their bearings if they need it. Our intersection is here in the middle. I don't look like my pointer works. But just to the east, to the right, you see our JC Municipal Golf Course. To the left, you see the bridge crossing over into Perryville Road. Pilot House there is just to the north. And River City Bowl Club just south of that. That's the structure there. So here's the description of Perryville Road. It's an east-west minor arterial that changes north to south orientation, maintained by the Special Road District. There's a bridge over Perryville Road, is also maintained by the Special Road District. It ends at State Route W, which is maintained by MoDOT and was just outside of our planning area, our study area. It's a 2-lane, 1 in each direction with a speed limit of 35 miles per hour with no sidewalks or on-street parking. 621 is a north-south local roadway. It's maintained by Cape Special Road District. It's 2-lane, posted speed limits of 35 miles an hour with no sidewalks or on-street parking or shoulders. And in the bottom right picture, you can see there, I denoted, we do have a 20-foot utility corridor running adjacent to the roadway. You can see the power poles there. We also have water running in there, and there's some storm water sewer. The intersection as it currently operates is a side street stop control requiring 621 traffic to stop. You can see the two little PowerPoint stop signs are put in the bottom left picture. That's where the stop signs are currently located. They have single lane approaches with no turn lanes present. Perryville Road is a free flow movement, but it has a 90-degree turn. Intersection forms a triangle shape with an island in the center. And the island allows for continuous northbound traffic from Perryville Road to 621. And then the bottom right picture, you can see the bridge for Perryville Road over the Cape Porch Route. I know you can't see these traffic volume numbers, but I did provide a copy of the full report, and I start to denote kind of down toward the left-hand side on page 12. You can pull up the actual traffic numbers and see what they are. But we did traffic counts with our consultants on Thursday, November 2nd. They did counts between 7 and 9 a.m. and then again at 4 to 6 p.m. And I just pulled some of the higher and lower numbers from the traffic counts. The highest numbers are northbound and westbound Perryville Road at a p.m. 210 count, and then eastbound Perryville Road in the morning at 225 count. And then 621, both north and south, are lowest traffic volumes with 20. And this currently is existing. This next slide shows 2045 build out volume. And this was based on our Metropolitan Transportation Plan growth rate scenarios that was also used in our travel demand model. So applying that, and you can see, I didn't know where it explains the growth rate in the report on page 11. And then on page 13, you'll pull up these traffic count numbers. The highest we experienced in this scenario is eastbound Perryville Road, 325, and westbound Perryville Road, 270. And then 621 continues to be the lower volume with projected 30 count. So what our consultants have done is they designed 6 conceptual layouts for the intersections: a major alignment, a minor realignment, Perryville Road stop, all-way stop, roundabout with golf course impact, and a roundabout with creek impact. Now for these, I have another handout. You can follow along with the handout or just look at the pictures as I describe them. The handout I'm referring to is a 3-pager that starts with alternative design 1. So with this intersection design, the intersection operation has side street stop control with Perryville Road as the free flow roadway. Realignment, Perryville Road and County Road 621 are realigned near the intersection. Eastbound Perryville Road remains mostly unchanged. It introduces a 35-mile-an-hour curve northbound on Perryville Road, and it introduces a 25-mile-per-hour curve in the southbound County 621. You can see the curvatures there. Not my cursor. The rationale behind the 25-mile-an-hour curve is County 621, and there's the turn nearby, and it's approaching a stop sign. So we want people to slow down for the turn and the stop sign. Intersection layout removes the current triangular layout, creates a standard T intersection with a 90-degree angle, and reduces the size of the Cape Lacroix Creek Bridge. The impact on the JC Municipal Golf Course, Perryville Road realignment affects the green space near hole 3 and the lower parking lot. It requires reconstruction of the lower parking lot. County Road 621 realignment impacts the tee box on the 3rd hole and significant impacts on the 20-foot utility corridor. Our alternative design 2, this is a minor realignment. It's the same as alternative one with the overall operation. It has side street stop control, Perryville Road is a free flow road. Similarities to alternative one, it's similar in overall approach to the intersection design and Perryville Road realigned near the intersection. The difference is no realignment of County Road 621 on the north side of the intersection and avoids impacts of golf course and utility corridor on the north side. Bridge impacts result in a larger bridge across Cape LaCroix Creek compared to alternative one. And the impact on the golf course, Perryville Road realignment affects the utility corridor and the lower parking lot, requires reconstruction of the lower parking lot as does alternative one, and it does not impact the green space near hole 3 of the golf course. So we're staying away from the golfers with alternative 2.
Dennis, a question.
Sure.
What about the elevation of that point? So does that lower the elevation of that point where you approach that stop sign or not? You know what I'm saying? Because it
Yeah.
kind of, because cars go off there and sometimes go straight through that and land like, because we don't see the sign. Does that lower that elevation level right there?
I'm assuming you'd probably increase the elevation on 621 to probably get closer to the elevation,
Okay.
if I'm following your question.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
because
do.
those cars shoot right off
Yeah.
of there, and that's where they land and they break the fence at the golf course.
Yeah.
So I was curious if the elevation, if that was taken down a little bit, it would
We-
certainly make it safer if it was, but I know with the bridge there.
I think you would probably be, I mean, and we don't have any final design here, obviously, but I think you would probably have to increase the elevation on 621, coming southbound from like 642, and tie all those elevations together.
Okay.
And so you would probably make it safer from that standpoint, but you would probably also be changing the elevations off to the southeast, if you will, of the intersection there towards the golf course. You'd probably have a better slope coming off. I would suggest in final design, if that were to be the design we use.
That makes sense. All right, alternative 3. This is the Perryville Road side street stop. The operation of the intersection would be side street stop control. Northbound Perryville Road, southbound County Road 621 would act as free flow approaches. It removes the existing triangle layout and creates a standard T intersection. The road intersects at a more favorable 90-degree angle. Eastbound Perryville Road, it's a higher volume approach, requires vehicles to stop, adds a left turn lane on the approach. Bridge impact requires a wider bridge across Cape LaCroix Creek due to the added left turn lane. Roadway realignment, minimal realignment on the roadway, focuses on reconfiguring the intersection, stays within the existing right of way. Impacts on the surroundings, there's minimal impact on the golf course and minimal impact on nearby utilities. Alternative 4, operation. This is the dreaded all-way stop control. It removes the existing triangle layout, creates a standard T intersection. Road intersects at a more favorable 90-degree angle. Minimal roadway alignment, realignment, and mainly reconfigures the intersection and its existing footprint, and all approaches have a single lane. It minimizes the bridge impact over the Cape LaCroix Creek and lies generally within the existing right of way with minimal impact on the golf course and nearby utilities. And we also looked at roundabouts. So this is the roundabout with the golf course impact. You can see at hole 3 there where you encroach quite a bit on it. It features a single lane roundabout at the intersection of Perryville Road and County Road 621. It's centered of the roundabout position southeast of the existing intersection, and positioning chosen to minimize the required size of the Cape LaCroix Creek Bridge. It does encroach on the green space near the 3rd hole of the golf course with significant impacts on the 20-foot utility corridor. And if we shift the roundabout further to the west, alternative design 6, As yet another single lane roundabout positioned to avoid impacts on the golf course and utility corridor. But it does encroach on the Cape Coy Creek and it requires a significantly larger bridge over the creek. So after we had done all those designs and provided our feedback to our consultants, they then went and graded the design based on the level of service that they would provide. So a quick overview on level of service is they designated it a letter A through an F, A being the best level of service, F being something you wouldn't show your parents. I describe level of service on the right. Those are some of the factors that they take into account when assigning level of service: speed, travel time, maneuverability, delay, and safety. And that's detailed on page 22 of the report. So this is on page 23, if you have difficulty seeing these. But the lower the number you see at the bottom where it says overall, the better the intersection flows for traffic. So they have it broken out between AM peak hours and PM peak hours. They have the different designs on the top and then the roadway sections on the approach side to the left. So as you can see, the no build scenario there on the far left is still a level of service A. And this is 2023 existing. I'll show you what the travel demand model shows for 24-45, the next one. But the highest level of service within this table is the major realignment. A very close second is the minor realignment. Then you have your roundabouts, which are very close to a no-build scenario. And always stop is just doesn't score well in any growth scenario, not existing or projected growth. This next slide is the 2045 level of service, applying the growth rate for our area with very similar results. The best being the major realignment, very close second is the minor realignment. Then you have your roundabouts and your no build scenario, all of which show level of service A all the way out to 2045, and always stop again being the least desirable in terms of level of service. And this is the final slide, but I thought this was a very good decision matrix that they were able to put together. I could see policy and financial decision makers really deciding what they value most about their investment into the intersection and evaluating that decision based on community scenario. So you have the alignments on the left and then decision factors on the top. And that shows you a quick breakdown, a little generic, but shows you what is more effective solution given what factor or what value you want to be able to add to that intersection. Any questions on the final report? And this matrix is on page 29 of the report that you have. So it's been accepted by our stakeholders. Folks are free to get a copy of it. I can send it to you digitally if you prefer. We have hard copies here. And you're always welcome to follow up with me after the meeting if you have further input or comments you'd like to share.
So the options that have a major utility impact is one of the suggestions to move into the other side of the roadway, or would have more suggestions based on utility locations.
That all adds to the cost of the project. Yeah. You have to see if it's on the other side or if we have the ability to find another easement somewhere further east. But yeah, it's kind of evaluating how much it's going to cost. Does it really need to be?
Any other questions on the study? You do later on, I'm sure Alex will be happy to take those questions and with you back.
How does that, I do know that, when it's talking about the impact on the golf course,
That's my question.
talks about impact or requiring reconstruction. Those aren't in red. Is that because the red signifies the cost to for the road project, not necessarily the cost to the city?
Right, yeah.
Right, okay.
From the city standpoint, I guess along those same lines, Mayor Kinder, are these, the impacts to the golf course, is that a deal breaker as far as the city's concerned, or?
Well, I think the first question would just be what kind of financial impact are we talking about?
Yeah,
Who's gonna fund the golf course for us to, realign? That's my question. I need to know who's going to do the roads. We'll have money, but who's going to help the parks department out and the city out? If you choose around that, that's gonna be a lot of funding toward the parks, the holes and parking lot. There are a couple alternatives in here that doesn't impact it. So I know our engineering staff's been looking at this to see which one's best, but I want to know the funding side that's gonna impact the parks.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a lot of other large projects going on that we have funds for, and then we add this to it. That's gonna hurt some of the programs and the parks budget that I don't see happen.
I
We were
understand.
more concerned about the options that would encroach upon hole 3. Because one of them looked like it was gonna really alter the layout of hole 2 and 3. But the ones that encroached upon the green space there in the entrance wouldn't be near as large of an impact. But again, like Trevor said, we funding the repairs of that area, the reconfiguration of that area would certainly be a consideration.
Okay. I appreciate that, yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
And regarding utility costs, is that part of the construction cost, or is that to the city as well? I mean, I just don't know how these projects are funded.
I would assume it'd be part of the construction cost, yes. I mean, again, we don't have any imminent plans
Sure,
of
sure.
doing this, but I would assume that would be part of those costs.
And when we chose this as an intersection study, it wasn't chosen because it was an imminent project that needed done. They just knew that there was gonna be work in the future that needed to be done, and they knew that it's not the greatest layout of an intersection, and we do have increased traffic coming from Berryville Road. That's been noticed. Can't see that far.
What district have concerns or considerations based on how much more bridge do you have to maintain?
I think the initial cost would be the major concern there, Jeremy, depending on which option you take, the bridge. The construction cost could be quite significant, but, those will be things we'll have to decide if we want to move forward. Yeah, I don't have the answer to that today. I think that's something we'll have to think of as a board and see if there's any funding available to kind of pony back on to what Trevor was saying. None of us have enough funding to do what we need to do. We don't have the funds to build this out right now either. It'd be a pretty significant project for us.
If you want to upset a community, take your golf course and start messing with holes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of upset people.
Alex, did any of the discussion include traffic impacts during construction? And maybe whether some of those decisions might, or impacts might be less than others, kind of weigh in on the overall decisions?
Repeat that one more time, Chris. I'm trying to figure out how to get this.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm sorry.
I don't think they were taken into account, Chris, that I've seen.
Okay. I know, like, when we did, the exit 93 studies similar to this, that was one of the categories, like you showed that last matrix there. One of the categories was traffic impacts that would be during construction. You know, and kind of put those on a scale as well to maybe add another layer of, hey, this separates it from this one because there's less impacts.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I don't believe that we did look at that.
There's a lot of traffic out there in the mornings, especially when schools start. I live right out there by there too. So, yeah, so you're stuck there for a while when the traffic's coming down.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, it was definitely an interesting intersection study, given all the factors around it. So, we'll go ahead and move on now. Next item, SEMPO Regional Trail Connection Study.
Okay, so we had our consultant down at our planning committee meeting earlier this month, where they gave us an overview of the presentation they had planned for our open houses. We also laid out the logistics for our meetings, which were held on August 7th and August 8th. August 7th, we were at the Osage Center. August 8th, we were at the Jackson Civic Center from 4:30 to 6:30. And we hosted a presentation at 5, but it was open house style with information boards all throughout the room. We do have a public survey, which has been live for a little over a month now. We had populated yard signs around the trails in both Cape and Jackson with survey information on it, so they could scan the QR code and directly to their phone, provide input on our trail connection study. We received 218 responses so far. And we intend to close the survey at midnight on August 25th, which is this Sunday. So if you know any folks that haven't taken it and they might want to issue some feedback, please help them toward our survey, because this is the last week we'll have it open. With the close of the 2 open houses, we are wrapping up the routing analysis, which is stage 3 of the project, which was intended to last from July to August. We're transitioning into stage 4 of the project, of which there's only stages 1 through 5. So stage 4 will take place September through November, and they'll be working on recommendations and an implementation plan. And once that's all completed, toward the end of November, we'll be looking for hosting another public meeting. Based on their findings.
Significant.
And then the final report stage will be December through February.
Safety.
We should be wrapped up with the trail connection study early 2025.
So that's number one.
Any questions on the trail study?
Being the Safe Streets for All Comprehensive Safety Action Plan.
Okay. So we were given a draft of the safety toolkit. And all comments have been issued on it. Our next oversight committee meeting will be September 5th. And we're still on track to have the draft plan by the end of September. We are still looking to host another public open house in October based on the draft plan. And I was working just this morning with our consultants on getting a connection to the city's GIS account so they can map our GIS story map to it. And then we should be able to host it on SEMPO's website. So that'll be the more public facing work product of the comprehensive safety action plan, where folks can go through a map of our planning area and understand where our high entry networks are and some of the solutions or potential traffic calming suggestions that have been made. We are still on track to have the plan completed by the end of December of this year. We'll then adopt it by the end of January of 2025, and then issue our final report to the Federal Highway at the end of March of 2025. Questions on the safety action plan?
No further questions. We'll move on to the next item, tip tool selection.
All right. So we are live with our current version, but as I had referenced it earlier, we're not quite ready to run with it yet. We will provide a presentation once we get all of our GIS files integrated into it and all our data completely organized as we would like it. So another month or so before we can really show off the new system.
Any other questions or comments into the tool?
I did get the revised file from central office. I've got it loaded up, but I have not checked it yet to make sure all the files or all the projects are there. The last couple times I've checked, we've had a project missing, well, several the first time and one the last time. So I'm hopeful that you'll have that hopefully this week.
That'd be awesome.
So, you know, I try to celebrate the process. It's been a while coming, but I didn't want to send it to you knowing that there's projects missing because that's not helpful. So
We appreciate your work on it, Jeff. Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and we'll move on to the origin and destination analytical tool.
Okay. We are looking at maybe September, October before we get a demo. Our representative is no longer with the company. So they're having to bring somebody else up to speed and really designate us a person to be able to do the demo.
Okay, I guess we'll move on to member reports. And you will start with the city Cape Girardeau.
Right, well, we've got thankfully Trevor Pulley here now with the city of Cape, who can, I'm sure, give a great update on things going on in the city. But I will say the Transportation Trust Fund Committee is in action right now. That's probably the thing that's most interesting to the public. That group ad hoc committee is working on, creating a report, working with staff very closely on creating a list of the largest projects that the city might need to do in the next 5 years. Of course, that plan would have to be voted on, one by the council to get put on the ballot, and then presumably the April ballot. Citizens vote on that. It's a part of our sales tax that funds those things. So, I'd love to point out.
Yeah, it's just TTF7 is very important to the city this time. If you all would care, please, if you have suggestions on streets that you would like to see repaired, large projects, please let me know. Or you can use the tool online, whatever you wish, but you can always text me, call me. We're starting to make a pretty good list of citizen input, different agencies input, council, staff input on streets that need to be repaired and large projects. Some of us are looking at our major thoroughfares as some of the projects to move forward. But council will be the deciding entity that actually tells which projects we will send to the vote. The large project we have going on now is our water. As you'll see, we'll have that out in November election for a rate. So we can give a more quantity of water to the city. We have a very large development in this community now, and we need more quantity. We have very good water now, we just need more. So Public Works is moving forward with a lot of streets. We've got a lot of projects moved out right now going on. The one I just noticed was at Kings Highway and was that Cape Rock? That's moving forward. So that's why I'm updating the city Cape.
I have a question about the TTF and public input.
Okay.
What if the community is asking for like improvements on Kings Highway, which is obviously a MoDOT maintained route? Do you guys throw those out or?
Yes.
Okay.
It's up to you. We do need some work on Kings Highway, but that is all the city of Cape taxpayer money, so we're concentrating on our streets. And hopefully MoDOT will be working on some of theirs on Kings Highway.
Okay. Well, that was just an example, but hear me out.
Yeah.
We have a program called Cost Share.
Yes.
And if you want to spread those TTF funds further, you can always apply for funding to get a 50% match on anything that's on the state system. So I wouldn't just throw them out.
Just throw them out.
You may get with us and see if anything would be
When's
good.
I know the deadline was passed on last year's, what's the?
It's about 4 times a year, right?
It's
And-
4 times a year.
The next one coming up is in September, I think. But they roll around so often and so quick, by the time you think of one that you would want to apply for, the deadline's here before you can get anything ready, so,
Kind of like Route K and that roundabout. What a total cost share, we use TTF funds for that.
that's probably a little bit different. I think those funds just got thrown into a project, whereas this one, just to give you like a brief, quick summary of.
I'm familiar with the cost share.
Okay,
I've
well,
used it before at Dexter.
well, the program has changed somewhat in recent years to where instead of just throwing that money into a MoDOT project, we actually have the city design it, let it, and construct it. Whereas in the past, maybe that wasn't really necessarily the case, so. But anyway, and it's gotta be a minimum of like $200,000 and.
There's a lot of different requirements that. Certainly you could reach out to Chris, and I would ask, before you just discard those projects or those ideas that do include a state route, I would ask that you at least pass them on to Chris.
Yeah.
So that it's helpful to know sometimes what the locals are thinking about stuff that does impact our roads, because sometimes they may or may not, if they submit them to you, they may be like, I submitted them, they'll surely get considered. Not thinking that because it is a state route, they might just be discarded. So it'd be helpful to us to see what some of the locals are thinking, because sometimes we don't always get that feedback.
I'll get you feedback on all our information from the citizens.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Interesting, thanks.
Thank you for that. We'll go on to City Jackson.
Since the last SEMPO meeting, the city has completed its contract and concrete annual maintenance program. That's all I have.
Sweet. Mark, special road district.
Yeah, we're still in the middle of our asphalt overlay, work for the summer. We're about 2/3 complete with that. We are gonna overlay, we're doing a bridge project also, on Cape Rock Drive, right outside of town. And we're right in the middle of that too. We should be done, I'm hoping. We're a little bit behind. I want to say probably about 4 weeks from now, we should be pretty close to winding that bridge up. And the same asphalt contractor is gonna overlay Cape Rock Drive after that project's complete, so it should all wind up about the same time. I'm hoping maybe the middle of September. That's all I have. Thank you.
Gary?
Single Ford, we're gearing up for fiscal year 25 projects. We've got 2 on the books right now. One of them, we're gonna finally pave the office driveway and parking lot and do some ADA upgrades on our sidewalk. And then the other one will be build some additional railroad track.
Terry, what's the status on the build grant?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. So the build grant. I don't know how much has been relayed in the past several months. Last summer, the 4th component of the project came in 3 times the original budget. That was upwards of $35 million on an original budget of roughly 11 to 12. It could have put Seymour Port in dire straits financially if we had moved forward with it. Thankfully, the board agreed with me and we decided not to pursue that component. Right now, we're in negotiations with MARAD on how to move forward. To the other parts of the project came in over $3 million under budget. The other 3 components, which would be the earthwork project, the track work project, and the short street utility project. So we geared ourselves and set ourselves up very nicely from a financial standpoint to move forward with that 4th component if it had come in at a reasonable price. But as everybody knows, with the economic climate that we experienced in the last few years, it just didn't work out. So again, we're in negotiations with MARAD right now. We don't anticipate spending any additional MARAD monies. We're working with them to get our last reimbursement. from the federal government. And at that point in time, the project will be considered done. Again, we're in negotiations. I can't tell you how it will turn out in the way of the funding, things like that. So
So the loop track is not built.
the loop track is completely 100% built, both tracks.
Okay, good.
The tracks are 100% built, two 12,000 foot long loops. The fourth component was the rail unload barge loading system, the material handling part of the project. But the earthwork is 100% complete. The track work is 100% complete and then some. We were able to stay under budget and do some additional track work on some storage tracks. That's what one of our fiscal year 25 projects is going to be, is piggybacking that track and extending it further for one of our tenants. So that's kind of where we're at. I mean, we're kind of just sitting in limbo. Our modification request is sitting in OST, which is the Office of the Secretary of Transportation, in their office, and Marriott's kind of waiting to see what happens there. We're hoping we get some good news here soon. We've been stuck in limbo for the last couple months.
Yeah, Mandy had mentioned a number of different times that basically the loop track is one of the primary criteria for incoming customers, if you will, or industry coming in. And if you had a loop track and were able to accommodate 100 cars at a time, then you could, be eligible for more opportunities, more companies willing to locate and, or do business. And so that's why I asked specifically about that. I guess I interpreted maybe phase 3 and phase 4 differently, but
Yeah, phase 4 was.
That's good information.
Yeah, phase 4 was in material handling, and I've had a lot of interest. The port's had a lot of interest from various potential customers or tenants. Actually had somebody there yesterday that's looking at some opportunities possibly to move some product through the port. But we've had a number of interested companies approach us because we're in a very unique situation by having basically a blank slate now. Having the material handling could have hampered that blank slate. So we're looking at all opportunities, trying to work with our stevedores to maybe expand some of his business to the loop track. Even if it's not full 100-car unit trains, more like 30, 40 car cuts of transload materials. So we're looking at all opportunities right now. We do feel it's the face of the port moving forward from a future standpoint, future growth standpoint, because we are very limited on space at the harbor and just within the port itself. As you guys know, I mean, the port has 500 acres and a large portion of that's below flood, requires 20 to 25 foot of fill to even think about putting anything on top of it. So that's what we had to do with the tracks. So, but yeah, we're excited with the opportunity with the tracks. They're in use right now, where my railroad crew stages everything out there where he needs it, and it speeds his day up. So they're completely in use, just not for what we originally intended them for. So, but,
Tom, do you have anything to add from IDOT?
No report.
That leaves us with MoDOT. Who wants to go first?
I can go. The Route 61 project in Jackson, we're scheduled to have our deck pour for the Humble Creek Bridge the second week of September. And then we're planning to finish paving once that's completed. So once that's completed, we can pave up to the bridge. Still trying to meet the November 1st deadline, but we do have some work remaining that's going to make that completion cutting it close for us. So there's still lighting that needs done, still sodding, striping, and those sorts of things. But still pretty optimistic that we're going to hit that. The Route K and 25 roundabout project, they're currently pouring the center truck apron today. They're getting asphalt next week or after Labor Day, tentatively, and then working on lighting as well. They're hoping to have that complete by the end of October beginning of November. The Route W overlay project, drove through there today. They're working on guardrail. DNS was out there working on guardrail and working on pipe placement. They'll start the asphalt portion of that work after Labor Day, and they're gonna start at Lexington, which is their first operation, but that work will be completed at night, and they anticipate it'll take less than a week to get that done. Just a Chester River Bridge update, the waters finally went back down. Last I spoke with our project director, Brian Oakenfoos, they were dewatering some of the coffer dams and working on getting the footings constructed for the center pier that's in the river, and then on the Illinois pier that's on their side that's in the river. They're about 1/3 complete with the earthwork on the Missouri side, and things are going pretty good. And I always put this out there, if you're really interested in the project, there's a guy called Neil Adams. He's on Facebook. He's not associated with MoDOT, but he does a really great drone update about once or twice a month. And sometimes I get more information from that than I do by calling Brian. We do have a public meeting coming up that I think you guys would be very interested in. If you haven't heard by now, we're going to have a public meeting over exit 93 on August 27th from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Cape Career and Technology Center. Basically, what that public meeting is going to be is we're going to present the current project that's in the STIP, which includes a roundabout at I'm drawing a blank on the intersection there on the east side, Silver Spring. Going to present the roundabout that we've got planned to construct, as well as the bridge rehab that we're planning on doing on the flyover itself and the two on I-55. Then we're going to present our long-term study results that we went through a couple iterations of public meetings early on a couple years ago. So the work that we're doing there can still be completed with those alternatives that we had for different types of interchanges. The preferred at the last public meeting was the dog bone. But we're going to be able to discuss maybe that's the long-term vision. But this current project is going to be able to get some more life out of the existing southbound flyover bridge there. Again, another good opportunity for a cost share project there if anybody is interested in TIF or TTF funds.
Date and time of that meeting?
What's that?
The date and time?
August 27th from 4 to 6 p.m. We have a TEEP call out right now. The applications for those are due September 13th. If you don't know what TEEP is, it's Traffic Engineering Assistance Program. Basically, what that would be is we could take a look at maybe an intersection that's not performing very well, or the corridor itself, and a consultant could come up with a plan, so to speak, not designs, but just maybe some options, kind of like what you guys presented here today. Again, those are due September 13th, and we do give preference to off-system applicants versus on-system. And that's pretty much it. That's all I got. I'll let you take it.
Okay. So we have just finished our payment ratings for the entire district. This is a process where we do all of the major roads in the district. We go through and rate those pavements for all the major roads, interstates and major roads, and then we do half of the minor roads in any given year. Then in the following year, then we do the other minor roads and major roads again. And those feed into our asset management plan, which is basically something we started about 6 or 7 years ago, that really basically is a process where we are making a long-term plan of the next 2 treatments for any given section of roadway in the district. So that, if someone says, hey, what's going on with this road? We can see,
when was the last time it was resurfaced or treated in some way, and what the next two treatments are supposed to be, and their projected year. Now, those aren't always concrete, but they can change a little bit. So we have work underway on that. That is supposed to be finalized, I think, at the end of October, but the first part, payments and bridges, are due at the end of the month. The high priority unfunded needs meeting we had in July at Southeast, our SEMO RPC, in their offices. They were kind enough to host us there. And those will be presented in October to the Highway Commission. It's supposed to be September, but I think it's going to be delayed now to October. And Chris mentioned the Route 25 and Route K roundabout project and the Chester Bridge projects. And I would just call your attention to, we have on the MoDOT website, we have a tab across the top that says road work. And on that, there is a section for road cameras or project cameras, where you can go by and look at, some of these cameras are set up so that they take a picture every 30 minutes or every hour. So you can go back and some of them look at the time lapse. So earlier today, I was sent the one for Route 25 and Route K, and pulled up, just did like the last 7 days time lapse. And so you can kind of see the work that's going on out there. I understand technically that's outside of the boundary of SEMPO, but it is obviously an area that's very important to SEMPO with Route K and then Highway 25 coming out of Jackson. So the last thing I would mention is that MoDOT's director has submitted his resignation. And so our assistant director is taking over. That is Chief Engineer Ed Hassinger, who was formerly the district engineer in St. Louis for several years. And then they will begin their nationwide search for a new director. So that will be happening. I believe our current director, Director McKenna, his last day is in September. And he's going to be leaving us. So we think we're in a better position than we were whenever he came in, both financially and just overall in general. We went through a rough patch in the about 10 years ago or so. So we think we're in a lot better position. Obviously, the last several years we've been able to get general revenue funding for some low volume roads. And that's made a big impact across our district. Again, this year we got another 75 million, 100 million. So we've obviously improved and really grown under Director McKenna. So he will be missed, but we're looking forward to more growth with the new director. And that's all that I have.
Any questions from MoDOT? Realized I skipped over the RPC. Drew, do you have any?
Just our multimodal, we're creating a multimodal subcommittee of our TAC. The TAC has always had I guess, it could include multimodal, but it just never really picked it up. Most of the multimodal partners just weren't really all that interested in participating. But more participation from them would certainly be a improvement for the region, and MoDOT would like to see it across the state. So all the RPCs are creating, they're integrating multimodal into their tax. There's 3 different ways you can do it. We're creating a subcommittee of our existing TAC. We've already got SEMO Port is a member of our TAC already, as is SNTS, but we'll be bringing in some of the smaller rail partners, airports. So we'll be getting to work on that and getting that subcommittee put together. That's probably the biggest thing for us, I guess.
Yeah. The other opportunity we have is the Department of Health and Senior Services received a state physical activity and nutrition grant, SPAN grant. And then there were qualifying factors that fell into that. But we've had, I believe, Iron County, St. Francis County and Cape, City of Cape qualified under the SPAN grant, not dollars, to do some active transportation planning. We'll be working with community in Iron County this first year, and one with in St. Francis County the second year, but the third year funding is still currently open, so we don't have a project set for that. So kind of depending on how the state street stuff works out, there may be an opportunity there for follow up.
SPA.
SPAN. So next we'll go to the staff report.
I will just echo Mayor Kinder and Deputy City Manager Foley on the TTF initiative. I did bring the handouts that we had prepared for TTF. We have the QR code that'll take you to our public input opportunity. We also have an interactive map there that will show you all of the completed projects, historically completed projects, projects that are in progress, and projects that are coming soon, to give you an idea of what roads are going to be addressed, so you don't duplicate what may be already in progress. But we have 2 open houses tonight, 4 to 6 here at Osage and then at Shawnee. And all of our survey input is, deadline is August 30th. So please get those in if you live in the city. That's all I have.
All right. Does anyone have any other business or communications they wish to share? All right, hearing none, I'm sure you did a sign-in sheet on your way out, and you had your name official or added to the list. With that, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Right in, maybe off there.
There we go.
I've done that,
So that's it. You'll love it, 12 years old. Surges.
I'm sure we'll give you that day. As soon as we do anything, I'll shoot one out.